All right, let's remove our hats, open this meeting with a word of prayer. I think it's important that we do that. Gracious Heavenly Father, how thankful we are for what you are and who you are, Lord. And so thankful again for just all the folks that are in this room and those that can't be with us tonight, Lord. We're just so thankful for this group of men and women who gather together to just celebrate and enjoy the outdoors, Lord, that you created. We're just so thankful for the group you've given us, the friendships and the fellowship that comes from this. We're so happy for the good things that happen from this group, Lord, being able to share Mike's excitement and Jim's excitement with Zach's promotion. Also to share the bad times, Lord. We've had some losses here the last month or two in this group, and we just ask that you put your arms around those who've lost loved ones, Lord, and let them know that all of us in the group care for them, love them, and share in their sorrow, Lord. We pray that you just watch over those who aren't here tonight, those who are hurt or sore or sick. Ed Clendenin had some back surgery injections the other day, Lord. We just ask you watch over him, continue to raise Duncan up in good health, Lord, and just watch over all of us here who need you every day, Lord, in ways that we don't even know. Again, we thank you for this group and this time together. We ask that we use it to your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, gentlemen, are you ready? I know this probably isn't the most exciting thing, but we're going to talk a little bit about tonight about some of the things that we picked up over this summer. You know, I've been doing this for a long time. I was looking yesterday at some stuff. 1997 was when I did my first seminar at Outdoorama at the old Novi place. So I've been doing this for a long time, and what never ceases to amaze me is I learn something new every year. Sometimes it's something little, sometimes it's something big, sometimes it's a new technique, sometimes it's a new lure, sometimes it's this or that. A lot of that from talking to you guys. A lot of it from doing seminars. You know, you do a seminar and someone comes up and asks you a question, and not only does that help, that's why I really encourage you to fish with other people and you talk to other people about fishing, because when someone asks you a question about what you think, it makes you think about, do you really believe what you think, right? And why are you thinking like you're thinking? Sometimes, though, you get a kick right square in the gut that makes you wonder if you ever had anything right ever in your life. And we had a summer like that. It was kind of neat on Saginaw Bay, and that's what we're going to kind of talk about today, is kind of some things that happened this summer. And when you look at things, I never try to look at anything fishing as one-dimensional, right? I truly believe that something you learn string fishing for steelhead, you can apply to casting jigs in 40 feet of water for lake trout, right? Everything kind of fishing-wise kind of interconnects. So when you get some things that really open your eyes and really make you go, whew, it's fun, it's exciting, it's enjoyable. It's one of the reasons I love tournament fishing. You go to a spot you've never been before and you got 4 days to figure out how to do something you've never done before. That's kind of exciting, right? I like that part. I would be happy being able to go to 6 or 7 new places every year instead of going, as much as I love Detroit River, as much as I love Lake Erie or Saginaw Bay, after about the second week, I can only jig so many times, right? That gets boring. I wish we had more rig fishing. I wish we had more other things here. Not that I don't like Detroit River jig fishing for 90 days in a row or 85 trips in a row. But it's nice to go and do something else because you learn, right? You learn new things. So that was a summer for us. And as I got thinking about what happened, this is only the second time I've done this summer, so it's really not perfect yet. I did it up at the Mike Avery Outdoor Expo a couple weeks ago, and there was like 15 people there, and none of them were fishermen. They were people who fished. So I'm excited about sharing this with you guys so I can get some good feedback from and get some good questions from. So this is kind of, I titled it Open Water Trolling, What a Difference a Year Makes, because what I think about open water trolling today is not what I thought a year ago. We've added on to what we think. In 2018, during our Saginaw Bay charter season, we experienced a complete change in our approach to open water trolling with huge success. Now, that has to kind of be a misnomer, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Saginaw Bay fishing was stupid, especially interbay, charter style. fishing. It was just dumb, right? But what makes what I'm going to show you tonight so cool is, whenever it was catching 40, we were catching our 40, 50, whatever it was, right? Where this kind of really got me thinking we were onto something is the days that guys struggled. Guys got 6, 8, 10, even on the interbay, right, Paul? There were some days that were tough. Lots of those times, we still got 20, 25, 30 fish. And that's where I kind of test something. If it works and it's working for everybody, who cares? It's really not that big of a deal, right? When it works better than the normal that everybody else is doing, then you're onto something you got to kind of think a little bit deeper. So we had a lot of really good days, or good days, when it was tougher for other anglers. And that's where I think this kind of got in my head and said, we need to do something. And before I go any further, I really have to preface that a big part of this was John. John Littlefield was a big part of this. And having him on the boat as the first mate and letting him do his thing, to just kind of watch and let him kind of run the boat and kind of do things a little bit different than I do, was really neat for me to see. And then we figure something out, we do something different, and we go to lunch and we talk about it for 2 hours, and we come back the next day and try something else. So it was kind of a process of experiment, talk about it, try it again, talk about it, try it again, tweak it, try it again, and then kind of feel, yes, this is true. So it was really a process. It was really great to have somebody to share that with. We experienced a complete change in our approach to open water trolling, great success. We made 5 changes. You guys remember you guys know the 8 steps, right? The changes that we made were in 5 distinct pieces of the trolling puzzle. Fish location, depth, we're going to talk about depth in detail tonight. Trolling speed, lure depth, our trolling spread, and trolling efficiency. These are things that are absolutely critical if you're fishing with 60 rods or 2 rods. And I would tell you, what we're going to show you tonight, the less rods you have in the water, the more important this is. Okay? And it's going to kind of change the way you think, especially Jim Mick. I can't wait to see his head explode tonight. Hang on there, Jimmy. Okay, I put that in there because the people I had before don't know all this. You guys should know this by heart, right? The 8 things you have to do to catch a fish in order: location, depth of water, depth of lure, lure speed, lure size, lure shape, lure action, lure color, done. Okay, and again, there's the 5 changes. So, fish location. Let's talk about some things that we noticed in 2018. And not just once in a while, but enough to say this is something we need to pay attention to. We fish shallower more often than ever before. Lots of fish in 5 to 8 feet of water. Even with water temps over 72, I could actually change that 72 and make that about 76. We were in 4, 5, 6 feet of water, even water temperatures when they hit 80 for a couple days.
Was that due to lack of bait in water?
Nope, it's due to, I'll show you exactly why it was due to. Great question. I'll show you why that 100% is true. We spent a high percentage of our season, when I say high, I'm talking over 85% of our season in less than 18 feet. And we had my biggest year ever this year on Saginaw Bay. We did 61 charters. And I would tell you that over 85% of that time was spent in water less than 18 feet. Most of that. What's that?
Didn't see you in Lake St. Clair.
Didn't see me in Lake St. Clair. Flats were the best, and weed growth held more fish. So this is kind of traditional, right? When we get into stable weather and warmer weather, flats become much better than drop-offs that are becoming better now, right? So we were looking for these flats, and weed growth was critical to this. Didn't have to be in the weeds, so you guys, Lake St. Clair guys, listen, didn't have to be in the weeds, but you had to be really close to the weeds. Okay? You didn't have to be plowing necessarily through the weeds, but you had to be really, really close to where the weeds were. This is my favorite one right here. The bite was consistently better after 9:30. This getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get to going is just absolutely crazy. Thank you, John. Stupid. All right, Joe will say it, I'll say it. You know, if I could have started, if we weren't doing 2 trips a day, I wouldn't have left the dock till 8:30, 8:45 every day. We actually got to the point by about our 3rd week there, every fish we caught before 9:30, we were like, bonus, bonus, bonus. People are looking at us and like, don't worry. And we got 4 fish at 9 o'clock, like, don't worry. Yeah, but don't worry. And 9:30, 9:40, 9:45, rods will start going back. It was a consistently better bite after 9:30. And I'll tell you this, I'm going to tell you that probably close to 90% of our big fish Fish over 24 inches came after 9:30. So you guys are getting up early? No need to do that. Brighter sun and clear or stained water were the best conditions. Couldn't fish in dirty water. You know, again, that's kind of something that I stay away from anyway. But if you could see bottom in 7, 8, 9 feet of water, you had it. Even the sun was bright, no clouds, see the bottom in 8, 9 feet of water, that was the spot. That was it. Completely against what a lot of people think about walleye fishing. Okay? But you have to remember, walleyes will not bite if they can't see their prey. Bright sun, clear water makes it very, very easy to see prey. Here you go, Jake. Shallow water fish were available every day, and some days it was the best action. I'd tell you most days it was. Shallow, warm water holds bait, especially if cover is present, making it a popular place for hungry walleye. Remember, guys, walleyes feed more in warmer water. Walleyes feed more. The hotter the water gets, the more walleyes have to eat every day. Let me say it again. The hotter the water gets, the more walleyes have to eat every day. This thing of walleyes lose their teeth and don't bite in the summertime, that's absolutely false. That is so not true, it's not even funny, it's just the opposite. Right? Cold-blooded creature, the warmer it gets, the faster they metabolize, right? The more they have to eat. And fish, guy, I don't care if it's walleyes, pike, bass, I don't care. Fish are not going to live a long way from where their food is. If their food is in the shallow water, and their food is in the weeds, and the food is spread out over 6, 7, 8 foot flats, guess where the walleyes are going to be? In those weeds, in that cover, in those flats. Okay? Now, to answer your question, go one step further. This is why I'm excited about this group. Excuse me. I'm curious to see what the shad and chiner population was this year. If that was part of the reason the open water bite out 18, 20, 24, 25 feet of water didn't really go. Was there not enough bait out there? Or was there more bait in? So I'm curious to see what our hatches were for those types of fish that create that fishery. But once we got on this, we never left it. Guys, there were times that we drove out of Linwood Beach Marina, hit 9 feet of water, put the boat in gear, and trolled south. Stayed at 9, get to 7, get into 6, hit up by the blue wall, go over to the mouth of the river, turn back around and come back, turn back around and come back, turn back around and come back. Oh, that's 40. Might as well go in. And I don't mean one day. I mean 20, 30, 40 days that happened. The shallow water bite was amazing. I truly believe, we've been saying this for 20 years, I don't think guys fish walleyes shallow enough. In all places, in all conditions, in all weather.
Or fast enough.
We're going to get there. Now, hang on to your hat. I wish Gillen was here for this one. Okay, so remember, go ahead, Jake.
Were the guys that were fishing deeper water during this time, were they consistently getting bigger fish over?
Absolutely not. The deeper they got, the smaller the fish got. Without question. Yeah, it's a rare day. You know, we'd come in with about 30, 35, 40 fish, and we'd have 6 or 8 that were 22, 24, 25 inches, and then 6 or 8 that were 14, 15, and the rest were all 18, 19, 20 inches. And the guys out deep are coming with a lot of 14, 15s. Okay, I think it's the biggest fish go where the easiest food is. And I think, my personal belief, and I believe this for a long time, my personal belief is the easiest place to find food is shallow water cover. Bait never leaves. You guys remember when you were a kid and it's 90 degrees outside in August and you go to a swimming beach and you're walking the beach and right next to the beach is a whole bunch of weeds. What's swimming around in those weeds when it's 90 degrees? Remember? You think walleyes are out in 50 feet of water? When there's all that food swimming around shallow? They don't do that, guys. Okay? These were kind of our best spots. I didn't go further up. Pin County Bar is right here. You can take the same circle and flip it to the top side of Pin County Bar. Sorry, Paul. Up here north of the Pin County Bar. But these were kind of our best spots, right? This whole little stretch down here, this stretch on the west side of Callahan was awesome. This stretch down here. And we even got down in here, we even got into 3, 4, 5 feet of water. Lots of days. We were running flicker shads 10, 11, 12 feet behind the board. Okay? kind of fun. And then up, from we go right around the point. So you got to swing out here. There's a net right in here this year. Swing around between the net and the point, get in here about 6 feet of water, and just go. And the same thing north of the bar. So those were our best shallow water spots. Talk about speed a little bit. Man, this was fun for me. I'm sure some of you guys saw it. We caught over 90% of our fish at speeds higher than 3 miles an hour. We never saw 2 point something. If we did, it's because we were trying to use the XI5 to go 3.5, and the boat was pushing the XI5 so fast that it actually would turn around and start coming backwards because the XI5 couldn't go fast enough to steer us. When the boat was being pushed 3.5 with the big engine, and the motor would actually get to the point where it would get to turn and try to turn us, and the force of the water coming at the boat would actually turn the motor around. We're like, hey, why are we going 2 miles an hour? And you just turn it off. We ended up actually, after about the second week, I don't think we ever put the XI5 down. Put the big engine of gear, threw the socks down, I popped it up, and away we went. Most of those fish at speeds higher than 3.5, and we caught limits multiple days, guys, up to 4.6. We had about a week and a half there. We did about 12 trips in about 5 days, 5, 6, 7 days. We did 12 trips in a row that we never got below 4 miles an hour. And never caught less than 31 fish.
What were you running?
We're going to talk about that in a second. That's a great question. That's critical. What you're running is critical. Every day we had more success at speeds faster than 3 than we did below, because I've told you for years that the only way you can tell me something is right is to try the opposite and prove that it's not as good, right? So we would, after we'd get 24, 25, 26 fish, we'd go back to those fish again, slow back down to normal summer walleye speeds, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6. We get 2 or 3 a pass, we go back to those fish again at 3.4, 3.5, and we catch 12.
Okay, now you're over your limit.
Not with 6 guys on boat, you're not. At 8 fish per guy. 48's a big number. You guys never had to catch 48 fish in 5 hours. That's a big, do the math. That's a big number. Shallow fish are aggressive and will chase and catch a fast moving lure. Walleyes can swim, they've been measured burst up to about 26, 27 miles an hour, in 12, 13 yard bursts. They can go, man. They're not going to hide. I believe this, and I really believe this, and I've always believed this. I believe this more now. Speed is also a trigger for non-aggressive fish. I think you guys, when you know the bite is a little bit slow, I'm going to tell you, this right here, this is going to be my deal for Ohio. My goal in Ohio this fall is to smack some big Lake Erie fish at 3.5 miles an hour. It will happen. Because I truly believe that 1-1, 1-2, 1-4 is not the best way to trigger a fish that doesn't want to bite.
Well, I would prove that.
I believe that going fast is the way to trigger. They're still curious, right? And they'll hit a fast-moving lure just to see what it is, or to prevent other fish from getting it. We use those instincts to our advantage, even on days where the fishing was slow. Because what would happen at 8:15, 8:30, 9 o'clock when the other boats were struggling? What would they do? They'd slow down, right? They'd stay on fish. They'd find either move or get on fish, and they would slow down, fishing slow. We'd go faster.
Did you notice early in the year when the water temperature was low?
Nope. We started right from the start. Now, I didn't get there till the 3rd week of May, right? But I still don't think it's gonna. And we're gonna use Erie this fall as a measuring stick.
Did you try going fast like that when we had the floating weed problems?
We tried going fast like that with the floating weeds. Floating. We were gonna talk about that in a second. Floating weeds are a pain no matter what you do.
It seemed to me like I got them on faster.
Yeah. Well, you do. I mean, you're getting to the weed clumps faster. But we did something different when the weeds got heavy. When we talk about trolling spread, I'll get you to what we did. Forrest?
Do you think the current in Erie is fish out deeper since you don't have that current sag out here? You can fish shallow and
I don't know. I don't know what location it's going to be. You know, I still like that Erie bite where you can see those fish 16, 18, 20 feet down over 40 feet of water. You can see them on your screen. I think especially if you're going to try something presentation-wise different, I think it's mentally important that you can see that you're on fish. So I would tell you that we'll probably start with typical locations, looking for those fish in the top 20 feet of the water column over 40, 45 feet of water. Just pick our speed up. Then I think once we get that dialed in, I think a move shallow is something that we need to look at. Well, Jim and I, we had that one year we were in 8, 9, 10 feet of water off Volunteer Bay. Crappy day, the wind was blowing 100 and we got tucked in there. We were actually jigging fish off the bottom up there.
You said third week of May is when you started. When's the end of the data set?
I ended the second Thursday of August. So whatever day that was, I think it was like the 9th or something like that, whatever it was. That was the last trip we did.
What was your trash fish?
Hardly any. Very, very little trash fish this year. Yeah, our biggest problem was pike, and I don't mean pike. I mean pike. I mean damn Thurston pike.
Wait a sec.
Well, you guys catch big pike up north. That was a compliment.
Right, okay. But don't say Dan. Say Dan and his dad.
Well, I never saw you with a big fish.
Somebody else let him wow.
Yeah, we caught pike up to 42 inches this year. That's a big pike. And we caught that fish the last week of July down in front of the Saginaw River in 6 feet of water, 12 feet behind the board. You want to talk about a pole? That was pretty amazing. I mean, you know that's not a walleye. There was just no guessing that was a walleye. It was not a walleye. So, again, my analogy that I always use when I start talking about this speed is this, right? Again, you know, it's 5:30, 6 o'clock, 6:30, Thanksgiving night, right? The Lions are already lost. You know, you're sitting around on the couch, got your pants on, done, you've eaten, you got so much food and you can't even stand it, right? If I come by with a little piece of pumpkin pie, you're just like, absolutely not. You don't even want to touch it, right? But if I come around the corner and throw a baseball at your face, what do? Wow. That's what I think happens to non-aggressive fish when you go fast. You put a little worm in front of them and they're like, don't care. Do not care. All of a sudden you get this, we're talking about what we use, so listen to this. They feel this vibration coming. They hear this noise, they feel this vibration. There's this flash, and all of a sudden, whap, they go, I don't know what that is, but I want to go see. And what do? You go grab it. Convinced that's what happens. Convinced that's what happens with non-aggressive fish.
And also, I don't know if they think or not, but with a lure moving that fast and getting that response, do you think that they're thinking, hey, something's chasing it?
I think, yeah, because I think that's true, Paul. Paul's question is, do you think when they see a bait going that fast, they think that bait's in distress? Absolutely true. Because if you're a bait fish and you're not being eaten, you're just swimming along doing happy little bait fish things, right? All of a sudden there's a walleye on your rear end, you're going to kick into gear. And I think sometimes that bait moving like that signals, especially when you got 16 of them coming, right? The fish are sitting in the weeds, goes, holy crap, something's going on, we need to do something. And I think they think those baits are scared. Absolutely, I think that's part of it. All right, lure choice is critical. Spoons and certain crankbaits are the best. We got away from the spoons. We didn't fish spoons much. Once we got inside about 11, 12 feet of water, we put the spoons away. I would tell you about the second week of June, we put the spoons away, period. Not that they didn't work, we just put them away when we went shallow. Spoons and certain crankbaits are the best. We fish mostly cranks through the shallow depths. But we would try, we'd put in a few spoons, especially on flat lines. We got over 12 feet of water. Without question, the number 7 flicker shad was our star. Without question. And that's great because they're cheap, they're easy to tune, they come in 5,000 colors, you need 2, but they're just easy. They come with good hooks, they're easy to tune, you can run them as fast, if you tune them right, you can run them as fast. We couldn't go fast enough to get a flicker shad to spin out. Okay? We also use storm smash shads, same little style bait, little fatter bait, and we used a lot of walleye divers. And I use that walleye diver because that walleye diver it's got that one little thud in it, and that walleye diver has that a little BB in the bill, so it pushed it nose down. So it ran a little better at high speeds. The more aggressive the nose goes down, the better the bait will work at high speeds. So that CD6, actually the CD6 Walleye diver has that little split shot, a little BB on the end of the bill and makes it run nose down. And that helps it go faster and run better at faster speeds. I would tell you if I had to pick one, number 7 Flicker Shad. Go take $100, buy 100 of them. That's about what they cost. And you'll be good to go. They got good hooks on them. They make them with triple grips and away they go. Choose crankbaits that run true and don't zing. You don't want Hottentots. Everybody thinks Hottentot is a fast bait. Problem with the Hottentot is it does this. You get going too fast, it does this. So you want baits with a very, very, very tight rear end. If that rear end is just not moving at all, looks like it's just, that's what you want. A rear end that goes side or a bait that goes like this isn't going to work at high speeds.
Did you try any of them 20 Flicker Shads yet, or you don't?
Did not. I think we had a couple in the box, but we didn't really try them. Not that we just did.
You just run them.
Not that they wouldn't work.
I know, I'm gonna get you. You run around a straight mile?
Sit tight.
I'm good.
Paul.
Prior to you getting there, when the water was cold, I can't say enough good things about number 9 Flicker minnow. Big time. And
Which makes sense, right? The colder the water is, longer skinnier baits. As the water gets warmer, shorter, fatter baits. But the flicker minnow, you can still get tuned to work really good. We ran some number 9 flicker minnows. We had a couple days, about a week and a half, where we ran flicker minnows on one side, flicker shads on the other, up at 3.5, 3.6, 3.8, and really didn't see a difference. Some days we'd see more on the shad, and some days we'd see more on the minnow, but it really didn't matter. I think you could run either one. Because those flicker minnows, if you don't have some of those flicker minnows for Ohio, especially the 9s, the 11s, the 13s, the bigger ones, I would tell you to grab some. Because that has been an awesome bait. Easy to tune, and they'll go as fast as you want to go.
And I could pull in behind the boat that just made a pass by me. So I'm driving up the shell pipe. I said, watch, I'm going to spin this boat around. We're going to put lines out, and I'm going to catch fish that those guys just
Just roll over.
And throw that number 9 flicker minnow.
Yep, catch one.
Boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom.
This is a really cool year on Saginaw Bay most days. We didn't do it every day. We had days where we had tough days, but more times than not, we rocked it pretty good. Keeping your lures tuned was absolutely critical. You know, we got that offshore lure tuner. You know, I got it in a box from Bruce, and you know, anytime you get a new thing, you're like, yeah, okay, right. I like it, and it's probably my #1 choice in tuning tools. The problem I have with the reef runner tools, unless it's a reef runner, that slot is either too big or too skinny. Right? So you can't always get the slot in there. That crankbait tuner that Offshore makes, that easy crankbait tuner, works on everything. You just have to remember to close the jaws every time. Because when you lock it, the jaws stay open, you got to close it again to get it to go again. Hey, Paul's got it, so we'll show you after the break. Okay? So, just some things that we caught them on. There's that CD6 Walleye diver. You can see the BB in the bill, right? That causes that to run nose down. There's the Flicker Shad number 7. That's the Flicker Shad number 7. That is a Storm Smash Shad up here on the left. And this was our #1 bait all year.
Thin fish.
That is a Storm Thin Fin. John called it the Orange Wiener. That was our #1 bait all year. That caught more fish than anything else we had on the boat. That's just a shallow diving thin fin. Okay? Caught a lot of fish. I mean, look at purples and pinks and oranges. Geez, big surprise there, right? This was really hot for us too. Mike painted us up some black with fluorescent green. We call it the LV or the LJ frog. That was really hot for us. We got on black baits one day. We were fishing. There was all kinds of mayfly larvae in the water. And we were fishing silvers and golds, our traditional, purples and pinks. And I go, man, I'm going to put something dark on. And I put on, we had a bait that was mostly black, had 1 or 2 green spots on it. Actually, it was a spoon. It was a copper spoon that was black with some green dots on it. We put it out, and it wasn't out 2 seconds, and I had a fish. 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 And we caught some fish the next couple of days on it, so I called Mike and said, hey, I need a dozen number 7 flicker shads, this color. I took a picture and he sent us those, and we had 3 or 4 of those in the water all the time. That black with the green dots, and this one never came out of the water. The orange one. The orange wiener. The storm thin fin. That was a 30-year-old bait. That's about a 90-year-old bait. That bait's been around. That was one of the original crankbaits that were designed for bass fishing down in southern reservoirs to imitate shad. There's no noise in that. That's not the rattling thin fin. That's just the regular thin fin. The only noise you get is you get the hooks, obviously, right? The high frequency.
Is there a size on that, or?
I don't know if they have sizes on those or anything. It's
Yeah,
that one.
They do.
It's that one.
7s and 9s.
So that'd be a 7. Okay? Now this right here, I'll talk a little bit about what we do with that in a second. All right, so here's where I want you to start. Open your mind a little bit and pay attention to what I'm going to tell you. Just kind of think through it so we can discuss it. We would run all the lures on one side of the boat at the same depth. And here's what you got to remember. We were running 7 inline boards and a down rod on each side of the boat. Every single lure on port side of the boat was at the same exact depth. Flicker shad 30, they all went 30. This side maybe 40, they all went 40. Once we got 3 or 4 on 40, they all went 40. I'm going to show you why that is absolutely something you need to stick in your head, especially if you're only running 4, 5, 6 rods. Stop spreading your baits out. Stop spreading your baits out. Stop spreading your baits out. Thank you, Joe. All right, we'll talk about this in detail. More baits for fish at the correct depth to sea, more chances to hook up. I'm going to show you in just a second. Once a productive depth was found, all the lures went to that depth, and we would have all 16 at the same depth. Yes, sir.
Do you think that that is, you should preface, you should sort of caveat that with the fact you're fishing so shallow and your zone is so...
Nope, because when we went out deeper and did this, right, when we went out and we were fishing fish that were 12, 13, 14 feet deep, we were getting our baits down 12, we did the same exact thing. I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you why in just a second. I know you guys are going to be hard to convince. That's good.
Yes. One thing I will say about this, because I learned something I did at the championship at Lake of the Woods with Bob Bruger. Make sure everybody in your boat is on the same page how you set your boards and your depth. Because we were fishing detailed answers, 30 back, and then we let 75, and then Bob Ruger would reset his counter and let another 75 feet back. Where I was doing the 35, 75 in my head, and it set at 120. And he said, bring it up to 45. So I took 45 off of 75, and we caught a fish there, and it completely screwed him up, because we weren't on the same page of how to set rods.
Because remember, and that's a great point, because remember, when you calibrate, right? So if you go 30 back, put your board on, then go another 70, so your counter says 100. That's different than 30, the board, 0, and 70 more. That's not the same place. No, because you're setting 0 again with less line on the spool. So you're starting at 0 with less line on the spool. Diameter is different. That's why, if you want to get smacked in the back of the head on my boat, try to set a rod, put the little board on and 0 the counter. You'll get hit in the back of the head with a hat. Because I am a consistent, I'm a running total. Right? 30 and 100 more is 130. Some guys go 30, board, 0, and then 100. That's a completely different spot. Completely different spot than 30, board, out to 130. See how big of a deal little itty bitty stupid things are?
Right, but it won't change the...
Yes, it won't change the depth, but it changes where, it won't change the depth. It changes where the board is.
Right.
And I will tell you without question that, but wait a minute, I'll tell you without question, there were days that certain boards in our spread outfished other boards on our spread 7-1. Because the board that's further away from the boat is pulling completely different than the board that's right next to the boat. When that rod bends and pulls back, there's more pull on that board the closer it is to the boat. Completely different action than a board that's 150 feet to the side. Completely different. That's why you have to pay attention to where those rods are when you get a bite. Craig?
So when you first go out, do you do a reconnaissance with multiple depths?
Nope, 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 nope. Sit tight, sit
I'll
tight.
start here at 40, and I'll try 30, and then I'll try...
Sit tight. Forrest?
So are you determining your box of depth?
I'm not ignoring it. I'm doing it different. Okay, now I'm going to show you why it works. I wish Jasper was here because actually Craig's here. Craig's trip was kind of the turning point for us. Actually, we had Craig on the boat, and John and I kind of sat down and talked. I don't think we had a trip that afternoon. We had the next day off. We had a day to kind of recalibrate. We had a tough day with Craig, and we had a tough day with Craig because we went back to old crap that we thought was true. I wasn't quite convinced, and John couldn't quite convince me. I'm hard-headed, right? It all became clear when I had Jasper on the boat. Now, a lot of you guys know Jasper, right? Jasper is, I don't know what he does. He's a super mathematical figure-outer guy, okay? And I had 6 Jaspers on my boat, and John had 6 Jaspers on another boat. So we kind of tell him what we're doing, and Jasper goes, that guy will build you a mathematical model. I don't mean a mathematical model, I just need to know numbers, right? But when the guy explained it to me, why it was better, it was very, very easy for me to get. I'm going to show it to you in just a second. Flooding the zone, and I don't care what that zone is, but flooding the zone is much more productive than having lures at different depths. I'm going to show you why in just a second. If a depth isn't working, move everything to a different depth and try that. Keep changing until you find the kill zone. So we're not eliminating it. We're just looking for it with everything at once. We're going to be, because remember, the worst answer you can get in fishing is what? Maybe. How many guys here tournament fish? I know there's a couple guys here tournament fish, right? How many guys have been sucked in by one fish and ruined your whole day? Should be the same amount of hands. Right? This is what this prevents. It's either a hard yes or a hard no. Hard no's are okay because I can completely eliminate that spot. What I don't want is a maybe. Maybes can ruin a day fast. I can tell you stories about how much money I've lost because I pre-fished one last day where I caught one fish early in the morning that I hadn't caught fish in the morning before, and I caught one and I got sucked into, ooh, that's really cool. Maybes are the bane of fishermen. They ruin more trips than they make good. You're better off to get a hard no than you are to get a maybe.
You're starting out, let's say, put everything at, what do you want, depth, you want back, or whatever. All
right, so
everything same depth.
But we're one side at 6 feet, maybe one side at 8 feet.
Okay, so you're trying, you would run different lures, different colors.
No, we just put all the flicker shads out there and went like hell. Didn't matter. Now, once you started dialing in, then the process becomes, right, boom, there's the 5th fish on an orange belly. Well, that's silver and chartreuse, let's get that off. I mean, so the process does start, but it doesn't start. You're going to, I truly believe this. I wouldn't stand up here and tell you this if I didn't think it was true. I truly believe that once you do this, you're going to get to those fine points faster. Because when you do something that's all being done on the whole boat, you either get a hard no or a hard yes. When you get a hard yes, then you can really start picking at the details.
So it would be good to have so many of this color, so many of that color in your spread of that lure.
Yeah, we had 4 colors of flicker shads that we had 12 of. And we had a starting lineup every day, and one of those 4 colors would be good, and we'd have 8 of those out, and 2 orange wieners and a couple other stuff that never caught any fish, that couldn't catch them that fast. So there were days we actually put lures out there, I ain't gonna catch nothing good, put it out there. There were actually days we tried to get rods to not catch fish because you just couldn't handle it. about that.
But
You're actually killing rods because I just can't catch them fast enough.
but your depth is your control.
Depth is my control.
And everything else you can vary in that within a lure and.
We didn't vary the lures much because we're going so fast. We only have,
Right.
3 or 4 lures we can pick from. So they're all basically the same lure. When you look at a CD6 Walleye diver and a number 7 flicker shad and a number 7 smash head, they're all the same lure. They're all the same.
How long did you take no for being at that depth?
About 20 minutes through a spot that we knew had fish. Okay, now 20 minutes, you cover a lot of water at 3.5 mile an hour. We're trucking. We just covered a mile of water on a spot that there should be fish or there are fish on the graph or we caught fish. And that's not the case, we change it.
And then do you go back over those fish?
If we think that's the right spot, yes. If we think that maybe it was a combination of those fish weren't ready to roll yet, we may just keep on trucking.
And how do you make that determination?
If I could give you that answer, I would still be hiking because I wouldn't need to come back and do seminars. That is a seat of the pants everyday thing, right? And that's a great question. How do you make that determination, right? Talk to my tournament guys, right? How often do you sit there and went, I got to make a decision right now. It's either going to be completely right or completely wrong. And your stomach just literally starts to, I know talking to Mike, your stomach literally starts to just churn. You're sitting in a boat at 11 o'clock on a tournament day and you're ready to throw up. That's how bad it is. Charter fishing's a little easier than that, right? But you have to do it. And I will tell you this, 2 things help that decision, Joe. Number 1 is being on the water every day. I know you guys can't do that. You just gotta be, because you get a sense, right? How many of you guys have fished the same body of water 3, 4, 5 days in a row? That 3rd, 4th, 5th day, is your decision making not better? Right? You just kind of feel what's happening, right? You just kind of, the other thing is keeping good records. Being able to go back to days that were just like this and figure out what happened. So you've got to have some fallback. A lot of it's gut. A lot of it is just playing your gut. Mikey?
How do you determine your depth at those speeds? Because obviously there's no chart at 4 miles an hour.
Yeah, we look at the app, right? And Mark will tell you that app is pretty accurate from where, if you read the introduction to the original couple books, he'll tell you that lure depth is pretty much the same from as slow as the bait gets its built-in action all the way up to where the bait loses its built-in action. And that speed range is about 1 to 3.5 miles an hour. Most baits at 3, 3.5 don't run any deeper shallow than they do at 1. They're about the same. There's not much difference. Okay? But again, we're always aiming a little bit higher, right? We want fish to feed up, so we don't care if we're a foot or 2 higher than we really want to be. We still did use the app for the first part of this. We kind of got dialed in. Once we knew where our baits were, we would just set them and go.
So you said 20 minutes it doesn't work.
Yep.
Do you go back and change your depth, use the same lures, go by there again?
It'll depend on what we see on the sonar. Okay? So what John's doing, John's in the back, and this is where you guys got to have a team, right? John's running the rods. I'm watching the sonar. And in 8, 6, 7, 8 feet of water, I can still see 80 feet to the side on side imaging. Right? So I can still see, man, there's fish inside those weeds. Why are they not coming out? So then you got to make a decision, is do we go back through there? Did we miss something presentation-wise? Or are those fish tucked so far in the weeds that we need to go find a place where they're, 7 feet of water, 8 feet of water instead of 6, and they're roaming on flats? And those were our decisions, guys. It wasn't 10 feet or 20 feet. It was 5 or 6 in the weeds or 7, 8, 9 with no weeds. Those are our 2 decisions every day. That was it. Pretty simple fishing. So depending on what we see, right, and again, constantly paying attention. Even in 5, 6 feet of water, guys, you can see, if you're using your side scan right and got to dial in, you can see 70, 80, 90 feet to the side, see fish out there, see hard spots, see soft spots, see weeds, see fish inside those weeds. So if we go through a spot and go, there's fish there, we just didn't do something right, we may change everything, turn around and come back through. If you go, that wasn't very fishy, we may pick everything up and go to another spot and reset them again. You're just there, right? So, and that's the beauty of it. You know how fast it is to change 16 rods and they're only 30 feet behind the boat? It takes zero time at all. You get two guys humping, man, you're on your way. And we're going to talk about short leads in a little different context after the break. All right, so flooding in the zone is much more productive. Okay. Our normal spread was 7 offshore inline boards on the side and 1 down rod in the corner. That's 8 and 8, 16. I would tell you without question, I think you guys do this, right? Run as many rods as you legally can. If you can run 8, run 8. If you can run 10, run 10. You better be going to Ohio with 5 friends because then you can get 12 rods in the water. You know, you go into Ohio with you and a buddy, you got 4, ain't gonna work. Find another friend. Get a bigger boat. Get as many people on that boat as you can get. Don't forget corner rods. Some days they were our best producers. And I don't mean 5 on the corner and 4 on every board. I mean 15 on the corners. 20 fish out of our 35 on the corner rods. 30 fish out of our 40 on a down rod.
You run those the same lead back?
Just sit tight. Good call. We don't release our boards. This absolutely drives me nuts. We do not release our boards. I don't know how you guys are getting all these freaking tangles with offshore boards when the fish on the outside comes. I don't get it. We caught 5,000 fish this summer and had 4 tangles.
Well, you're not doing it right.
I don't know where everybody's getting all these tangles. You guys are tangling. I'd like to spend some time in your boat and figure out. I've got some ideas of a few things you're doing wrong. We don't release our boards. Snap and release on the front, red clip on the back, they stay on. We don't release them. I think you start doing that and pulling that line through that release, you're creating all kinds of issues at some point. I think that's a bad deal. Okay, running all the lures the same depth, listen to this, running all your lures the same depth eliminates tangles when you bring a fish on the outside board over closer. We've talked about this for years, right? When you're running on-weighted crankbaits, your longest lead goes on the outside. Right? Not your shallowest lure on the outside, deepest on the inside. That's not right. On-weighted, longest lead on the outside, work to shortest leads on the inside. So now you can bring that 90 feet over top of the 60 feet, over top of the 30, and away you go. Are we okay with that? That's a huge part of this, right? You're on them all the same depth, it's irrelevant. Because once that board slides back a little bit, it's going to clear them all. And as the boards get closer to the boat, the lure gets what? Closer to the boat. And as that board comes around with a fish on it, it's actually staying further behind. And you want to watch something. Watch a 15-inch fish going 3.5 mile an hour. Watch how far back that board goes. Okay? Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. There are a lot of days you never really watch the board go back. You would just see the weight behind the board. Yeah, that one's got one. Because at 3.5 mile an hour, that fish gets that lure in his mouth. He can only swim so long. He's like, I give. Right? And they just come to the top, and you start seeing the weight, and you just bring them over the top, and away you go. I'm going to show you some about efficiency a little bit later, too. It also means you can slide your boards when you catch a fish. Meaning, if you catch, I always start on the outside. So the furthest board is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Meaning, if you catch a fish in the third board, once you get around, you can slide 4 to 3, 5 to 4, 6 to 5, 7 to 6, and then the fish you just caught, the board just reset, comes back to 7. Okay?
Now, are your corner rods still the 8.5?
Sit tight. Moving rod holders forward. This is huge, guys. Moving rod holders forward helps. I never thought this was a big deal until I spent a day on the boat. Some of you guys remember, excuse me. I'm embarrassed. I'm going to need your help. Greg Ellison, they used to work for Trax Tech, right? When they first came out with the rod holder tree, Greg's like, you got to have these uncomfortable. That's just the dumbest idea in the world. So he got on a boat one day and Saginaw on Bay, put a tree on, moved it right up behind my front seat. So literally, I'm right against my front seat. And in about first hour of the day, I'm like, I got to have a set of those. The further you bring your rods, the further they run forward when you set them. I think the biggest problem guys have when they get lures tangled, outside board tangles on an inside board, Number one, they use vertical rod holders. The worst part is the guy, and I'm going to pick on the Ranger guys, right? You got that Ranger rail, and you got the front one behind the seat, and the middle one halfway back, and the last one all the way back to the back deck. Well, not only is that back rod here, it's also way back here, so you can hardly get that outside board around it because there's so much sag in that back rod. If you bring everything up on a vertical tree, everything is in the same spot. And so when you let less line out to your board, everything runs in a line. If you take this bottom rod and you drop that back to here like most guys have it, that inside board is here. There's no way you're going to get that outside board around it. So when you bring all your rods forward and stack them vertically, you get a great, well, there's 7 boards in that picture, you get a great line just like that. You can bring the outside over all of the other 6.
Also, if the rod with the fish on it, that person watches the stern, and it improves it even more.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, right? So if that outside board goes, you grab the rod off the top, you bring it around, and you're way over on this corner. You're on the opposite corner with the rod as far over as you can get it, forcing that board to pull sideways. It works. And there's our down rod. So yeah, we use the same 8.5-foot rods. Down rod was the same. We carried 20 rods rigged up ready to go with the bead and the leader and the whole thing. We had 20 of them ready to roll. So that was our setup. We could only get 5 rod holders on the tree. Then we jammed 2 more as far forward as we could get them. And notice even this bottom one, notice how the rod holder is actually angled to the front, so the rod tip actually gets as close as it can to those other ones. That's huge, guys, for getting outside board over the inside board. If you're going to run verticals, run them as close together as you can get them. It should be boom, boom, boom. Horizontal, I'm sorry. It should be boom, 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 right next to each other. Don't spread them out along the rail. That's a bad idea. Always blows my mind when I see a guy with a $90,000 Ranger and he's got $40 worth of rod holders. That makes sense? Okay. And then we use that Scotty, or that 13-inch riser with the down Easter holder was our down rod. Notice where we got the rod tip, right? Rod tip's just above the water so we can watch it.
That's a 1 pound ball.
Nope. That is actually, I'll talk about in a second. All right, towing efficiency. Keep your, oh my God. Keep your lures in the water. Everybody's laughing. I had a picture I wanted to grab and I couldn't find it. It was actually on Jim Ford's Facebook page. I couldn't find it. This next line is critical. Listen, listen, listen. 1 fish at a time. 1 fish at a time. 1 fish at a time. Net it, unhook it, get the lure back in the water, then grab the next fish. Nothing makes me more frustrated than, great picture, 4 fish in the back of the boat and only 2 rods running. That's stupid. You were just in a spot where the fish were biting. Get 1 in, take it out. There's still 3 on, but now you're only fishing 2 rods. Get the first one off, get it back out, now you're fishing how many rods? Your chances of catching another fish just went up 50%. Why are you in a good spot with lures in the boat? I don't care if 7 go back at the same time. And we would do this a lot because we flat out knew when we got a bite, especially after 9:30, we knew there were going to be multiples at a time. Very rare we had 1 fish on at a time. It was usually 2s, 3s, and 4s. So we'd let the first one hang, get the second one on, get the third one on before we started bringing one in, because inevitably you catch one on the outside, you get it halfway to the boat, and one in the middle would go. Now you're going to get tangled. So we would just wait, oh, there we go, okay. Now grab the inside one, get it in, reset it, it goes right here real fast. Where's that one out there going? He's still out there. Right? And you catch one on the second board from the boat on this side, you reel that one in, take it off, reset it. That one is where? Still out there. and we just handled 3 without a tangle instead of 2. 2 of them got off because the fish got tangled. Make sense? Be efficient. Keep your lures in the water. 1 fish at a time. Get it in, net it, unhook it, get the lure back in the water, then the next one. You take pictures when? End of the day, holy crap. That's one of my, no, don't take a picture. You just caught a fish on that lure. That lure needs to go to the water now. We'll take a picture anytime. Right? 1 fish at a time. You should never have more than 1 rod out of the water. Nothing more frustrating to me than watching 2 people try to get fish to the back of the boat at the same time. That's ridiculous. Because now what do? Now you got a shit tangle in the net. Now you got 2 rods that are out of commission for 15 minutes because one's tangled on one and they're tangled in the net. The one lure goes through and ties the knot in the line. You're done. So instead of catching 7 out of that little pod, you caught 2. You do that 3 times a day, you just cost yourself 10, 12, 15 fish. Somebody had their hand up.
So in your charters, you only have 1 guy reeling in then?
1 guy at a time. Yep. And as soon as he's done, fish comes in, right? He hands John the rod. John puts it in a rod holder. Because we always have, what's the rule on rod holders, right? You should always have at least as many free as you have rods. So our whole deck was done with rod holders on that whole track, right? So boom, guy gets that fish. John puts the net, a little bit of slack, put it in a rod holder, stands straight up. John unhooks it, puts that lure back out, puts the net away. Next guy in line. We had a couple days. It was so cool because you got that center console, that pontoon. It was so freaking awesome. We had a couple hours, a couple days where people were just in line. They'd come up this side, reeling the fish, go over to this side, come back up, reel the fish, just constantly going around in a circle. Just like keep going around. Kind of fun. So yeah, 1 person at a time.
Tickets.
click, 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 click. So, anyway. Go ahead, Jen.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Going back a little bit, you said you don't unhook your boards. How do you do that, bring the fish in with the board?
Well, we unhook them when they get to the boat. We don't release them out in the water. A lot of guys, when the fish goes back, they'll release it. So, yeah, we do take them off, when they get close. Unless we're running the 4 or 5 foot mouth of the Saginaw River pattern when we're running 9 feet behind the board, and the guy can just take the rod and go like that, and you can net it without taking the board off. That's kind of fun too. You should never have more than 1 rod out of the water, right? In shallow water, this is critical, Denny, right? In shallow water, be sure to constantly check for weeds. We had some days with floating weeds. You couldn't go from here to the wall without having it all boogered up. When we did that, we cut our rods down.
What, 5-footers?
No. we cut down the number of rods we had in the water. Sorry. So there were some days when the weeds were so bad, right, we'd have 3 rods on a side. Because putting 16 in and they're constantly being boogered was impossible. So we put 3 on a side, I'd run one side, John run another, and you would literally get all 3 out. You count to 30, you'd start reeling in the weeds. And invariably you'd get one in, you'd take the weed off and set it back out, and the one that was clear would catch a fish. Then you'd have a fish and 5 weeds. And you'd set the one with the fish back out, you'd clear the out. We brought our boards closer to the boat, and usually when that happened, we would shorten our leads as short as we felt that we could still catch fish. But when you get that problem, you can't have, because you get too many out there and it just gets to be too much. So when the weeds got bad, we just eliminated rods. And still caught. So there were a lot of days we were peeling weeds all day for 5 hours and we still get 30, 35 fish. Because we paid attention. You never ever let anything sit. And again, that's one of the beauties of going that fast. Because the minute a crankbait at 3.5 gets a weed on it, what's it do? Right to the top. There's no guessing. She'd reel in, take the weed off. And a lot of times we'd keep an extra rod, so we'd set a rod out, put a board on, then reel in the one with the weed, take it off, set it in a rod holder, and kind of be ready to just constantly keep going.
Okay, Lance.
Yeah?
Is that basically just a summer pattern then?
I think absolutely 100% not. I think as long as you have green weeds, that's shallow. We don't fish shallow enough. I would challenge you guys that fish Erie all summer. Spend a year and tell yourself, I'm never going to fish deeper than 12 feet. Watch how many fish you catch. And watch the days you outfish the guys who go out in 25, 30, 40 feet of water. And watch the difference in the size of your fish.
You think that's always been happy that you just...
Yep, 100% believe it's.
No, but I'm saying that you just finally got into that area as a tool to use instead of... I can't believe it just happened.
I'm not as smart as I claim to be. That's the problem.
So we need a refund.
Sometimes, Jake, like I told you, you get caught up in things that you think are right, even though they're wrong. Right? So what was traditional? You get that little shallow water bite, you get the shad population move out, you move out to the river channel, you'd start doing that, you move out in deeper water, you go to the Port Clinton side, you kind of, that's not true. You don't need to do that. I think a lot of it was just doing it. A lot of it was just doing it. Those fish have always been there. How many bass fishermen have you heard on Lake St. Clair, Lake Erie, Saginaw Bay? Oh, we caught, 6 12-pound walleye today by accident, throwing spinnerbaits. Well, that's not by accident. We were just too stupid to go up there.
I just talked to a bass guy the other day. I've never caught more walleye at Lake St. Clair than I did this year.
Throwing spinnerbaits in,
3 days ago, he said.
4 feet of water, right? But where do we go?
Away from the bass.
Yeah, away from the bass guys a lot. But we go out, right? This bite has always been there. I just don't think we've taken advantage of it enough. Is it the best choice every day? Probably not. But I would tell you more days than not, you can put a lot of fish in the boat. And there were a lot of days we fished the same time the NWT was there. Now, we had rods in the water. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. And I am the last guy who will ever say, yeah, we would have beat the tournament guys. Because I know that tournament fishing is a completely different thought process than I get it. But we were doing the same exact thing when the NWT was there. We didn't have a day, we didn't have at least 22 pounds. Doing the same exact thing. And I told Johnny Candle about it, and he was right next to me, and he couldn't force himself to go faster. He was like, I kept watching you go by me, and then go by me again. He was like, just couldn't go any faster. He's like, I got to 3, I freaked out. So, well, you shouldn't have freaked out, because who knows?
You think about the late fall in shallow still?
Absolutely. Where's all the bait going in fall? Where's the bait headed? It's heading into the river, it's heading into shallower, more stable water, it's heading into warmer water. Why are there not fish in shallow water?
That's where the perch are going too.
How many guys fish late fall perch in 4 or 5 feet of water? Where's the first ice perch fishing?
Canals.
In water this deep. Well, you think those perches show up because the ice is there? They've been there for 3 weeks. And we've been out in 50 feet of water going 1.2 mile an hour trying to catch a walleye when he's up there chasing perch all day. I don't think we fish fast enough. I know, in fact, we don't fish shallow enough. I know I don't fish shallow enough.
Hey, Lance, that's why I think in Huron, that break wall as we go out, we're right around.
Yeah, Duncan's been catching fish in that little bay for years. That's 12, 14 feet in there.
Right.
Now, that's not shallow, but it's a whole lot shallower than we're fishing.
Well,
Right? So I think we need to start paying attention. All right, you cannot catch a fish with a lure in the boat. Be efficient, keep your lures in the water. You guys asked me about the corner rods. We ran tadpoles on the corner. We started with number 2s because we only need to get down 6, 7 feet. Problem with number 2s is what happens. You have a whole lot of blowback. You need a lot of line. We ended up after about the first week, that's where we put that little orange wiener thin fin, was behind a tadpole. After about the first week of doing this consistently, we went to magnums. Big, giant magnum tadpoles. There were days we run that magnum 6 feet, and it's down 6 feet of line at 3.5 mile an hour, it's down 5 feet. Or we run it 10 feet back and it'd be down 8 feet. Because that lure, that magnum is so heavy and dives so aggressive, you need no line. You try to do that with the right size tadpole, right, to get that depth. You got 30 feet of line out. So where's that line now when you bring a fish to the back of the boat? That line is where? Right? So running that short, very, very aggressive vertical diver, never gotten away, never had to move it. Didn't try the 1 pound ball just because I didn't have them with me. It would work without question. I think next year when we do it, you'll see 2 down rod holders. You'll see 1 angled back out the back. You'll see a 1 pound ball out the side and a magnum diver kind of off the corner at 45. You'll see 2 corner rods next year on both sides.
Who do you think will die? The Magnum or the 1 pound ball?
What's that?
Shorter lead.
I think the 1 pound ball will dive faster.
Yeah, the 1 pound ball would be.
Because that Magnum tadpole is only, it's 4 ounces with I think the 1 pound ball. So I'm going to run a 1 pound ball straight out and a Magnum at about 30-degree angle. We're going to run 2 corner rods next year on both sides.
I got my 1 pound balls up on the bow.
That's kind of hard on the pontoon though. But yeah, exactly. Get them up there, right?
But I can pick up that 1 pound ball in my transducer at
Yeah.
1,000 hours. You're getting a lot of blowback.
And you know what's funny is that sometimes it's hard to tell on that Magnum tadpole at 3.5 miles an hour because the rod's going whoop already, right? So I didn't realize this until about 4th or 5th trip we did it. You know, John, if you ever get a time to spend time with John, John's an awesome dude. He's got this little shit-eating grin where he's got something going on, right? He pretends he's really quiet. He's not. Okay, that's just a ruse. So you get this little shit-eating grin. Finally, one day, I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, watch. He goes, I think there's one on there. Right? And we're literally running that tadpole is down 8 feet behind the boat, you know, out behind the rod, and we got our leader. So what do we got out there? 14 feet of line, maybe? So what he'd do is he'd take that thing and he'd reel that up. He'd look. Yeah, there's a fish. He'd let it back out. He'd tell the guy, oh, here's one. You little... Because you just couldn't tell sometimes. So what he'd do, like I said, he'd reel it in, he'd see the fish, and he'd just drop it back down, lay there, and he'd wait a couple seconds, oh, got one, and he'd hand it to the next person in line. So, kind of sneaky little dude. I'm trying to figure out what he was doing.
Ticket, please.
Yeah, exactly.
How long leader do you run?
So we're running, that's a great question, Mark. We're running the same exact trolling setup we've told you guys for the last 10 years. Calibrating our line, putting on a crankbait snap, swivel with a leader, you know, so whatever that is, and then we just put the tadpole in there and away we go. So we had 20 rods ready to go, so we could run them with tadpoles, we could do whatever we wanted to do with them. Same normal setup. We would occasionally run 30 and 40 jets off the corner. I'm not a big jet fan because they do this too much, right? I like the tadpoles, but something you can do. You guys are all going to catch big giant fish. Okay, so let's talk about this fish distribution. Let's talk about putting all your lures at one depth. I know that's probably freaking, of all the things we talked about, that's probably freaking more you out than anything. Okay? Good. I like it when you're freaked out. So there's a pretty typical. Let's pretend our boat is here, right? And, you know, here's our 100 feet to the side, let's call it 150 feet to the side of the boat where we run our board. So that's kind of our box. So this is kind of, again, very, very simple, but that's kind of what we're thinking, right? There's going to be fish at 3 or 4 different depths. I want to make sure I get my lures there. So this is what we want, right? We want to make sure that we have a lure that gets above every single one of those fish that are feeding at different depths. Perfect world, right? We're catching on everything. Problem is that doesn't happen. Here's what happens. You may have the right lure at the right depth, but it may not be in the spread from the boat out 150 feet where the fish is at that depth. So in that example right there, you have 4 rods that have what chance of catching fish? 0. Is that efficient? Can't your boards closer together. Does that make sense? When you think about it? Because not only now do we need to figure out vertically in the water where the fish are at a certain depth, we've also got to make sure that our lure at that depth matches up horizontally with where that fish is in our spread. That's hard to do. Okay? So, if we do this and put everything at the same depth, anytime a fish comes at a depth that he will strike that lure inside that 150-foot range or 100-foot, whatever you run your boards, he's got 4 chances to get that bait. Any fish that comes in that whole box from the boat out to our furthest board, he has a chance to get bit. We don't have to match up. Now, we're only taking 1 out of the 4. Let's say there's 3 active fish, right? 3 different depths. We're only targeting 1 of those 3. So you go, well, now I'm only 30% chance or 33% chance of catching. No, you're not, because you're targeting that whole spread. You have a chance 4 rods to catch that fish. You don't have to match up the right rod with the right depth. Make sense? Think about it for a second. Then you add more rods, and now watch what happens. You're only getting one of the 3 active depths, but that fish has 6 chances you have 6 chances to be the right spot in your spread to get that fish to bite. Because you're never going to do this. But when you stop and think about it, when you really, really stop and think about it, you guys have spent a lot of time fishing. When you think about it, we take it for, when you catch a fish, you should be freaking high-fiving and doing cartwheels. It's amazing when you think of the amount of water that's out there and the little bit of zone you had to put that bait where a fish can see it and get something he's going to be attracted to and figure out how far it needs to go between your boat. And then when you ever catch a fish, you should just go, there's just no way that should have happened. Because when you figure out how much surface area water there is and how much depth of water there is, how little bit of that water actually holds fish, and how small you have to put a bait in to catch one, you should be just flipping out every time you catch one. You go, there's no way that should ever happen. So what we're doing is we're taking the guesswork out. We're not missing, we're not having baits at the right depth, but missing them on the spread. That's why I told you, you're either going to get a hard no, which means no bites, or you're going to get a hard yes that says, yeah, I'm on it. And you're going to get a hard yes a lot faster with all your baits at one depth. Or you're going to get a hard no. That's okay. No's are all right.
For a while.
Well, you just got to work through it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so the way Jasper's friend explained it to me, he says, okay, he says, take a watermelon and slice a wedge of watermelon. He's okay. He says, now traditionally what you're doing, he says, pretend the seeds are fish. He says, traditionally what you're doing is you're taking a little knife and cutting a sliver in that watermelon from top to bottom, hoping that that knife stops above a seed. But if your knife cuts over here, and it stops here, and the seed for that knife is over here, you're not going to catch that fish, right? He says, what you're doing is taking a sheet of paper and sliding that piece of paper through that watermelon. So from one edge of the watermelon to the other, you're gonna, if there's a seed just below that piece of paper, he's gonna bite your lure. I'm like, that makes all kinds of sense. And he went through all the mathematical, he goes, I would tell you, he goes, he goes, how far is that outside water? I don't know, 175 feet to the side, whatever. Because we run 175 on our outside, actually 225 on our outside rod. So 225 feet to the side, we've got 7 rods. He says, okay, so if you had 3 different depths and fish at 3 different depths, he's kind of doing some, thinking. I'm like, I have no idea what this guy's doing. And he goes, I would tell you the way you're doing it. He says, you probably are 4 to 5 times more likely to catch a fish every pass than you are spreading your lures out. You're only targeting one of the 3 depths. But with the number of lures you're putting in front of it, the number of chances, he goes, I would tell you you're 3.5 to 5 times more likely to catch a fish the way you're doing it than you are to spread them out. I'll take 3 to 1 odds anytime I'm fishing.
So you got to be running, if you want to try different shapes, you're running different depths, and you got your line lengths are going to be different if you're trying to get the same depth.
Exactly right. That's why I do one side all the same. If I was going to experiment, I'd do one side all the same, same. I do another side, same, but different. So I may run, 6 reef runners or 4 reef runners over here, 60 back, and 4 bandits over here, 80 feet back. But you don't want to get into the habit of starting to mix all this crap. Because when you get a hard yes, right, boom, boom, then you can start playing. So now you can take that reef runner, okay, 60 back on a bandit, that's 42 back on a reef runner. Let's put all these reef runners at 42. Now everything's at the same depth, 2 different baits, 2 different styles. Now you're starting to play. Boom, boom, 2 hour on the bandit, those reef runners are be gone. That makes sense?
You got 2 no more.
Oh, anyways. You're not gonna see too many reef runners in the water just fall in my boat, I guarantee you that. Because tuning takes too long, being efficient. We talked, everybody okay with that? Does everybody understand that concept?
I understand the concept. I have an issue with
I'm okay. Yeah.
I'm always in the hunt for the larger fish, which always don't follow that. I'm not interested in putting 15 fish in the live well. I'm interested in finding that target depth that produces the bigger fish.
Irrelevant. You're still doing the same thing. You're just trying to find where the big. So you may go to Huron and catch. You may have your lures 40 feet all on one side, 40 feet back. You catch 2 3-pounders. So instantly for you, that's a no. Right? 40 back is not the fish you want. So you may now take that whole side and put it 60. So you're doing the same thing. Your no is going to be different. For some guys, no fish is a no. For you, 2 3-pounders in Huron is a no. You're doing the same thing. You're just, your no is different than somebody else's no. Does that make sense? So you may get, well, some people will go, that's a good answer. I just caught 3-pounders. You're like, I don't want 3-pounders. I want 8-pounders. You're still doing the same thing.
So if you change, let's say you hit them, okay?
Yep.
On flicker sheds.
Yep.
Okay? Now we got that depth out. You want to change to thin fins. Do you change all the thin fins? You just change it?
I want everything at the same depth.
Right.
Okay, so if I want to run a bandit, let's say I catch fish 80 back on a reef runner. I'm going to talk about this in a second later because you're never going to see me 80 feet back on a reef runner ever again. If I want to run 80 feet back on a reef runner and I start catching fish, okay, that bandit has to go, what, 130 just for shits and giggles? There's going to be a weight in front of it and it's going to go 80. My number used to be 120. Once I got to 120, I would never let a lure out further than 120. I would put some weight on it to shorten it. My number now is 70. I'm never going to run a lure further back than 70. I don't care if it takes 12 ounces of weight to get a bait down where it needs to be. I want to run short. If I can take a reef runner with a 4-ounce inline weight and run it 27 feet down or 27 feet back and get it 20 feet deep, that's a whole lot better than 120. Because I'm how much more efficient? Because the whole time you're doing this, guess what you're not doing? You ain't fishing. I'm going to try to stay at 60. That's going to be my number. My number is going to be nothing further behind the boat than 60. That doesn't mean I'm still not going to get a reef runner down 30 feet. It may take 60 feet with a 4-ounce weight, but I'm not going to run it back there 225 feet. It's too hard to control, too hard to get back there, and you lose. I guarantee you, you get past 100 feet with a crankbait, you'll probably miss as many fish as you hook up. Because with that much stretch, they suck it in, spit it out, you never see the board go back. You run that same bait 40 feet back with a 4-ounce weight, that fish farts on it, the board goes back. Efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. Behind the board, yeah. When you look at the precision 20, you go, oh, 100, 24 feet down on a reef runner is 120. Never going to see that in my boat ever again. If I got to put it 4-ounce weight in front of it, 5-ounce weight in front of it, don't care. And if I do that, every single lure on that side is going to have a 4-ounce weight in front of them. So I want all my boards to do what? Run the same. Because you can't run a reef runner with a 4-ounce bait and a P10 flat, right? Because your boards are doing what? They're not even in a line. So you've got to start making everything the same so everything acts exactly the same. So if anything different, that's what? Either a fish or a snack, right? You don't want to run all of this. I guarantee you, and I'm guilty of it. I mean, I'm as guilty as everybody else, right? You got 6 guys in the boat at Erie, and you set a 6-rod spread, and you got, 6 different things on the back of the boat. Okay, that's not going to happen anymore in my boat. Guarantee it's not going to happen. And think of the advantage you have with this group. Because if everybody did that on both sides of the boat, we got the whole thing covered in one pass. If we're talking to each other, somebody's going to figure it out. Right? And again, that's why I think it's important that we communicate our no's as readily, as excitedly as we communicate our yeses. Because it's important for me to know that Rob just went through a spot, 60 back on a reef runner, and didn't catch any. Because I don't want to waste one more minute with a reef runner 60 feet back. If he just spent 20 minutes over at School of Fishing and didn't catch one, why would I want to spend a minute more doing it? Right?
So now what do you do about never settle? Now what do you do?
Never settle happens earlier. So instead of never settle being different shapes, different bodies, different, now never settle becomes finding the right fish, right? 40 back, I caught 3-pounders, I want bigger fish, I'm going to run them back 60. I'm going to run them back 80. So you can still work through that never settle. And once you get dialed in, there were days that we had, who had that flicker shad, that purple and pink one? Oh, Paul showed me a picture, right? There were days, and we're still working through the process. So we may have, chrome and black with an orange belly. We may have fire tiger. We may have purple and whatever. And all of a sudden, 4 fish, the first 4 fish come on, purple with an orange belly. Okay, well, the silver one's coming off, so you're still working through that never settle, you're just doing it a little bit different. So if you figure out 40 back on flicker shads catching them, and you want to go, let's try something different, maybe you take that side, let's say 40 back on flicker shad is 7 feet, that's somewhere in there, right? So you may take number 9 flicker minnows and run them back 27 feet to get them to the same depth. So now you're doing the same thing, you're just not doing it one rod at a time, you're doing it the whole side. And you may go, that didn't work. I'm going to put little rippers out there. There goes 6 little rippers to the same depth as the flicker shad you're catching fish at. So you're still working through it. You're just not working at one rod at a time. You're working at one side at a time.
So what you're saying is, if I get catching on flickers, I get flickers out on both sides.
Yep.
And I want to change up one side just to see if something.
Change the whole side.
Change the
whole side. Because who's to say that the bait that's going to catch more fish doesn't get in the spread? So let's say you're catching on flickers and you want to switch to, we'll just make it easy. You catch on flicker shads, you want to switch to flicker minnows. If you want to put one flicker minnow out there and it's out here, what's it going to tell you? It's going to tell you you ain't going to catch them, but it's not because the fish don't want it, it's because that fish never, you run the whole side as flicker minnows, and now there's no way the fish on that side can't see a flicker minnow. Does that make sense? I think it is, because you got less to work. How many of you guys have ever caught a fish trolling, you get ready to put the lure back out and go, I have no idea where that was? That should be every single one of you, right? Especially if you're running snap weights, or you're like, I don't know, who knows, send it back out there. Right? This is simple, man. That side's 40, that side's 60. Which side you catch on that one? I run it back 60. Now you only got one number to worry about. Okay, I just caught 4 on a flicker minnow 60 back. So that's a good 13 feet. I want to run hoochie hoochie, 13 feet. There they all go. That's all right, whatever. But you still got the same. But you got the same number on every rod. You're not running 21 ounce 30, 22 ounce 6. You're not doing that, right? Everything is exactly the same, exactly the same. And I'll tell you one thing with this program, guys. You will get more no's. So the thing is to recognize fast that it's a no. Okay, so when you get a no on presentation, the only way to be able to adjust, and I'm going to go back to where we started this whole thing 25 years ago, or whatever it's been, the only way to know that you got a no answer is to make sure that you're fishing where the fish are.
How many days do you end up with, after you go through the whole method, you go through the whole spiel and end up with the lures all at the same depth, same lure all the same depth, and now all of a sudden you catch a fish.
Right. I mean, yeah, we've all done it, right? We've all gotten to the point where it just took us longer to work through it. This gets you to yes faster. Creates more no's. It absolutely creates more no's.
It eliminated maybes.
That's just where I was going. It eliminates maybes. It's a hard yes or a hard no. And I'll tell you what, in here in Ohio, when you can see those fish 15, 16, 18 feet down or 40 feet of water, you go over them once, it's either a yes or a no. If you didn't get them the first time, you better switch something up. I don't care if it's your speed, I don't care what it is, but if you're over the kind of fish that you guys should be over in a place like Huron in the fall and you don't catch them, you did something wrong. And I would tell you, if you think your bait's in the right spot, the first thing you need to do is go faster. And I don't mean 2 tenths of a mile an hour faster. I mean, if you went 2, you go 2.5. And if you go 2.5 and don't catch them, you go 3. Don't be afraid to get a no. Start trying to avoid getting maybes. Maybes stink. There's not a guy in here who hasn't wasted a fishing day on a maybe. Okay? All right, let's talk. Anybody got any other questions, comments? I'm curious to hear.
You said you're not going to run baits farther than 60, 70 feet if it takes 4 ounces.
Yep.
How do you determine how much weight that's going to take?
You know, that's going to be a precision trolling thing for some of that. Some of it's going to be a feel thing. Some of it's going to be 3 ounces, 3 ounces. These go back 40 feet. These go back 60 feet.
Just play with it.
You just play with it. I think anytime you add weight, no matter if you have a dive chart or not, I think anytime you add weight, you're just making a swag anyway. You're just making it up as you go. You know, I think weight is huge because faster you go with weight, it comes shallower. The slower you go, it goes deeper. But that's the beauty of weight. You put 3 ounce weights in front of everything. You put these lures out 40 and these lures out 60, and you change your speed from 2 to 3.5, that bait's probably covered, what, 10, 12 feet in the water column? By changing your speed that much? Maybe not that much because you're running short leads, but you know, it's covered. You go through those fish twice, you've covered a pretty good kill zone. I just don't think we get to a good answer fast enough. That's all. That's every single one of us in here. You know, remember those days when you get to the right answer right away? We want more days like that. So I think getting more no's faster gets us to the yes faster. We spend too much time getting no's and not knowing we're getting a no. Because when you got 4 lures out here, 4 different lures at 4 different depths, and 4 more different lures over here at 4 different depths, you don't know what the no is. So you just keep on driving and put more crap out that you have no idea what it is. Then you catch one, you're like, oh my God, that's it. And 4 hours later, you still have how many? 1. Good, we've all been there. Glad to know I'm not the only one. So, a fundamental shift in how we think about trolling, right? Do I expect everybody, including myself, to go out the first day and go, it's not going to happen. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some processing. Yeah, it's going to take, it's going to take a couple guys in here will grab it right away, and it's going to take getting in a boat with that guy and saying, hey, you run it, just let me watch. But it's like everything else. Once you do, how many of you guys never looked for fish before you put lures in the water? I mean, not now, but before you, I'm gonna pat myself a little bit on the back. How many of you, before you really start listening to what we teach, just put lures in the water and drove around? That should be every single one of you. Do you remember the first time you drove around and looked for fish, put lures in the water, and you instantly had fish before you had all your boards in the water? Does that not change the way you fish? How hard was that? That's what this is. This is just the next thing to try. I'm going to assume you're always going to be fishing on fish. Because if you go, I tried, it didn't work, and I go, you on fish? And you go, well, I'm going to smack you. Right? I'm going to assume this group, specifically our group generally, this group in here, because I know most of you very, very well, you guys are past that. You're past just putting lures in the water. I've watched you guys catch fish, and get better and better and better. Right? Not because you're better fishermen necessarily, you're spending more time fishing wrong where the fish are. Now imagine fishing right where the fish are. What kind of days do you have? Okay? You all right, Jim? All right, just checking. You don't have to do as much record keeping. For all your lures in one net, Dave.
I decide where the lure is going to go before it goes in the water and record it there.
You do.
So if the third rod goes back, I know what lure it was, what color it was.
Jim is one of the few guys, and I pick on Jim, Jimmy. I love you, man. Jim is the only guy that I know, when he posts a fishing report, when he starts talking about his spread, what's the first thing he puts on there? His target depth. My target depth was 12, so I put a deep husky jerk. Right? He thinks about, this is where I want my baits to be. Now, we all do that, I think, at some point, but when you stop for a minute and actually take the time to write it down, it really makes you focus more on what you're really doing. Right? It used to frustrate the heck out of me when you get in a boat with a guy, even 4 rods, right? When Michigan was just a 2-rod state, you see it all the time when I was fishing professional tournaments. You get an amateur in the boat, and the board would go back, and the first thing I'd ask the guy was, what lure and how far back? I don't know. So I knew right then I had an idiot in the boat that I had to do everything, because I knew he wasn't paying attention. Right? When you look at those things that are on our fishing sheet, the only thing you should have to wait for to write down is the size of the fish. Every single one of those other columns you should write in, you should be able to fill in before you even touch the board. Right? Save a waypoint, the waypoint number, latitude, longitude is saved, time is saved, depth is saved. That's done. You should know what lure you have, how fast you're going, how far back that lure is, and if you're running any weight with those, that weight and those leads and leaders are. You should be able to know. I don't care if you've got 16 rods in a spread that are all different. You should know that rod is that. If you're not paying enough attention. Because when that rod fires off twice and it's 20 feet deep, and you got one over here that's 10, the second time that 20 goes, that 10 better be up. As that guy's reeling that fish in, what should the other guy be doing with that 10? Getting it in. It's way too high. Or vice versa, way too low. You go, which one of those has? You've got to be thinking about that. You got to be thinking about that. What do I have out there? You have to think. If you're going to go back the old way, I know some guys, myself included, are going to get caught in old habits, right? And we're going to do that. Old habits are hard to break, especially when fishing's tough, right? It's always been my thing about crawler guys. Try to teach them how to run crankbaits. Where's Alabama Brockman? Teach them how to run. Take crawler guys and teach them how to run spoons, right? As soon as fishing gets tough, what's the first thing people do? Even if it's wrong, they go back to what they know.
Back to their comfort zone.
Right? So if you're going to do this, make sure you pay attention to what you're doing. Make sure you know where every rod is. You have to think 3-dimensionally when you're running the boat. And that's why I've always told you, I'm going to end with this, I've always told you, as much fun as it is to fish with other guys, one person has to be the captain. Because that person has to go, okay, 8-rod spread. There's my 8-rod spread. You can't have one guy go, I'll run this side, you run that side. The next thing you know, you haven't caught fish in 2 hours, and you got 6 of your 8 lures at the same depth. The old way. Somebody has to make the decision of what the, if you want to switch every hour, that's fine, I don't care. Somebody has to make the decision on what the spread is. The old way. And you'll go back to that, as will I. It'll be hard. Fishing gets tough, it'll be hard. You're going to see me putting by you at 1.8 mile an hour this fall, I guarantee it. Unless John's with me. So, anyway. All right, any more questions or comments? Anything good there?
John Littlefield, do you have him signed to a contract? Or?
I got to tie him up for a long-term deal. Good fisherman, right?
Yeah, well,
really good fisherman. Yeah.
I'm just watching you next to me, and I look. There's his advantage right there.
Yeah. Oh, without question.
Back of that boat.
Without question.
Never quit moving.
He never stops.
Never stops.
He never stops. And what's funny, and what I love about John, there's a lot of things I like about John, but I would step back to help, and he'd go drive the boat. He's like, your job is to put me on a fish. He goes, this is no good if we're not on him. You put me on him, I'll catch him. He would not want me back there. When I went back on that carpet, he'd look at me and I'm like, I'm good, dude.
Is he still up north?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's definitely an advantage. And I would tell you guys this, because I ran a couple charters by myself. I had you guys by myself, but you guys knew how to run rods. So, when you've got people who know how to run rods, that helps. I would tell you without question, the biggest mistake I made on that pontoon, not knowing what was going to happen, and I would tell you this, guys, don't buy anything else for your boat until you buy one or two things, or actually 2 things. If you're really serious about catching fish, trolling, you need an autopilot. Without question, you need an autopilot, and you need some way to digitally control the speed of your boat. Okay? I am a huge believer in the XI5 in that type of fishing. I would take my XI5 and drop it to the bottom of Saginaw Bay if I had the same digital throttle that I had on my Polarcraft on the pontoon. Every single engine company here makes a little gauge that you can dial in your RPMs on your big motor. I had my Polarcraft for 2 years trolling time, right? Most of my trolling time was on the pontoon, but I had about 30 days of trolling on the pontoon. I would tell you, because I had digital throttle on my Suzuki, so I could get the motor, the big engine in gear, hit the button, it'd go to 600 RPMs, I could dial in 600 or 50 RPMs at a time, and then I had an autopilot on my big engine. So not is that trolling motor trying to pull and using battery power, the big engine, that's a lot of thrust. So it's a much more accurate autopilot than trying to pull with your bow, right? I would tell you that 95% of the hours on my kicker were in reverse. Remember that so what I would do is, let's say I wanted to go 1.8, I'd put the motor in gear. Let's say I could only get the motor down to 2.1, I'd put the kicker in reverse at 0.3. Now I'm getting thrust forward and complete control of the autopilot.
Not worried about the hours.
Not care less about. It's not that. None of you fish enough to kill a motor.
No, not to kill it.
90% of my hours on my kicker are in reverse. Because you got so much better control with that big prop and that big engine turning everything. If I did a ton of salmon fishing, my next pontoon is going to have an autopilot on the big engine and that digital throttle. Because I had pull cable, right, on the pontoon. So what does that do? Here is too slow. When it catches again, you're too fast. That digital throttle, you just go pop, pop, pop. Oh, that's 3-1, pop, pop, pop. That's 3-3, pop, pop. That's 3-5. Here we go.
You said the bow mount, the autopilot on your bow mount wouldn't.
The problem with the autopilot on the bow mount at that speed, right, is it's not turning fast enough to pull the boat. You're getting most of the. If you pull a boat forward at 3.5 with an electric motor, even a good one with big batteries, you're going to go from about here to the wall. It's going to run out of juice. They're just not made for that. The other problem was all that water pressure coming forward at 3.5 mile an hour. I got a little bit of thrust so the motor can kind of keep me straight. Problem is, once that motor kind of went this way, that thrust would catch that shaft and it would turn it backwards.
I just wonder, like with a tri-tune, you got 3 tubes, and it's almost like having 3 rudders.
Yep.
Going straight.
Yep.
So it takes more force for the power.
Takes a lot more force. Yep. That's why I like pushing it with that big engine. So I would tell you this, after 20, 22, 30 days on my Polarcraft and all the trolling I did on my pontoon, I should probably turn the video off right now. I would tell you, if I did not river fish, I would not own a bow mount trolling motor. The only reason I own a bow mount trolling motor is river fishing, and if I perch fish to anchor myself. I would never ever use one ever again for trolling. I'd put an autopilot on the big engine. You can get them for $1,000, and I'd get a digital control on my big motor, and I'd use my kicker to scrub. Or I'd run. I'm not a big. We run bags on the pontoon because it's easy. I'm not a big bag fan. So next year when we get the digital throttle.
You're not gonna have the motor guy make a 48 volt.
No, it's not worth it. So that's just me. I mean, if I was a troller, I would do everything with that big engine. Especially nowadays, you got a motor that's less than 6-7 years old. You've got the ability to get a digital tack, right? Mercury has the smart gauges. Yamaha has the whatever they call it, right? Evinrude has their E-gauge or E-check, whatever they call that. Suzuki, they call it the Suzuki Troll mode. On a Suzuki, it doesn't matter if you have a digital or throttle. It doesn't matter as long as you're in gear. It hooks up. It's $120 bucks. Just a little module that plugs into your engine controller and sends a signal to the engine that it needs to ramp up. We'll just put it in gear. So you don't need a digital throttle. You can do it with a cable throttle. It's a $120 add-on to be able to dial in your speed. Huge advantage.
Hey, on the XR5, did you try it on like cruise control and try it on?
Yeah, the problem is going that fast. It just can't keep up. It just can't.
So I mean, you tried it, say, going 0.1 faster and then changing it around to go 30%.
That's the problem. Is I would have to go to 3, get 0.6, 0.7 on the trolling motor, and it's still with that pontoon especially. It's so hard to turn that pontoon, right? But you do it in the back. You turn that much in the back, and the boat goes like that. You try to pull it from the front. It slides more than it turns from the front. So, just something to think about. It's all that. Things change and you do things different. So, okay. All right. Any other questions?
Regarding efficiency.
Yes.
A couple years ago, I realized that, actually a long time ago, I realized that nets attract boats.
Yep.
When it's up to down.
Yep.
So, I don't know, 2 years ago, I decided any walleye under about 7 pounds doesn't get a net.
Okay.
Have a leader. You're not even looking at it, it's not stuck in the net.
I agree with that. We did a lot of that, a lot of swinging.
It also leaves the area in front of you more
Open.
because you don't have the boarders.
Yep.
I don't know if that worked on the pontoon.
We did a lot of, at 3 mile an hour, you just skip, and you just keep them coming. Yeah. Right? And as long as they don't hit the back rail, you were good. Every once in a while, you would hit the back rail and go. But yeah, there are a lot of times we didn't use a net, just for that reason, right? And a good net is hard, right? We're working with Cummings on a new net design, a new bag design. We're pretty close. We're going to have them add a third layer of tar treatment to it. I think we've got it pretty good. We changed the bag design. It's more of a flat design on the bottom, a lot shallower, so the fish doesn't go as deep. So it's more of a fishing net than is a tournament net. So we're pretty close. So we should have some of the new prototypes at Huron to try, and hopefully we'll get it right. So we're playing with a new net. Just so you know, if you guys are coming to Huron, I just talked to Trevor Sumption today with Fishhawk. He will have the new portable Fishhawk product at the fall trip. If you wanna, he'll have 3 or 4 to sign out and try. If you haven't seen it, it's basically the same Fishhawk display, but it's battery operated. And then there is a probe. The unit comes with about a 3-foot fishing pole, big heavy fishing pole. It has a probe on it. You put heavy braid on there. You drop the probe down to where you want it. And then there's a little, like a hockey puck that slides on that line and actually picks up the sensor from the probe. So the transducer actually slides on the fishing line that has the probe, put in a rod holder, and then the display plugs in. You've got a Fishhawk display. So you don't have to have permanently mounted transducer, you don't have a permanently mounted sensor, you don't have to have a downrigger. You can just do it on any boat. It's portable. You got a friend that doesn't have it, you can just take your little case. It's about the size of this. Fits in a case about this size. All of it. You take that to somebody's boat. The display works on 9 volts. A 9-volt battery. There's a 9-volt battery in the Pro. Really simple to use, really easy to use. So he's gonna have a couple of those there for you guys to check out. So just kind of a neat little deal. Speed, temp, and depth at the probe. So it's a traditional big probe like the regular Fishhawk.
You know, his speakers there yet?
Travis will be there Friday. He's going to do a little bit. Travis's role has changed. He's more of a supervisor now. So Travis will be there to do a little bit of stuff on Friday, but he's bringing his guy who now does Travis's old job for Travis. So Travis will be there, but one of his guys is going to actually do the kind of stuff that Travis used to do. So they'll be there Friday. And I don't know on Saturday. I got 2 guys I'm kind of debating on having, trying to figure out who would be better. So the problem with doing Travis and Ali is it becomes too much sciencey stuff. I like to have a science guy and a fishing guy, just because I think that's important.
Well, Ali started using all them damn big words.
Yeah. Ali's too smart for our group. So
I'll write them down and you can look them up
Sounds
later.
like you better make it a week long.
yeah, week-long trip. I'd love to. Houghton Lake is on again for next year. We got some things in store for that. I got 1 or 2 people coming that are gonna make that a really, really cool trip. Some guys are coming to speak. I'll let you know more about that, but that'll be June 7th, 9th, 7th, 8th, 9th, somewhere in there, whatever that weekend is. We'll be doing that again next year. So